Hi everybody, my name is Juan, I'm just one reader, and today I'll be doing the Netflix book tag. I was tagged by a book olive and by Stephanie from That's What She Read. Question 1 is recently watched, the last book that you finished reading, and that is The Vile Village, book 7 in a series of unfortunate events. I thought most of this book was slow, uneventful, and repetitive. However, the ending was amazing. It was so frustrating that it almost got to the point of being annoying and enraging, and I just want these characters to finally catch a break and do something, but they just don't ever seem to be able to catch a break. I gave it 3 stars because, like I said, I didn't really enjoy it as much as the others in the series, but I thought the ending just totally gripped me and kept me there, hooked and ready for the next installment. Question 2 is top picks. A book or books that have been recommended to you based on a book that you have previously read. So I have chosen some books that I have been recommended because of my Amazon account, because of my Goodreads account, and because of you guys, booktubers, that I just follow to the pits of Mordor because I completely trust your opinions and your taste. So the first one that I have here is the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. It's been a long time since I read a big fantasy adventure trilogy, and this just really sounds like something I'm going to devour. I also chose Tender Morsels by Margot Lanigan because I do have a tendency to enjoy fairy tales, fairy tale retellings, especially if they are mature and adult, and this one is kind of a very slightly vulgar, very adult, almost sexualized, I think very sexualized fairy tale retelling. Another series that I've been heavily recommended is the Lifeship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb because of I've just heard that it's incredibly magical and entertaining and interesting, like any fantasy would be, but I feel like this has a very special focus on characterization and character development, so that sounds like my jam. I've also been recommended Radiance by Catherine M. Valente. I have read some Catherine M. Valente before, and this does sound really cool. And another book that I have been recommended is The Interestings by Meg Wolitzer. I really love books that have this kind of academic settings, and this takes place, I think, well, some parts of it at least take place in a camp for the arts or something like that. I'm not sure, but that sounds like, yes, just give me a bunch of pretentious, artsy, genius kids and I am there. Question 3 is recently added. What is the last book that you bought? And I have 3 books for this. The first one is The Man Who Loved Children by Christina Stead. This was Adam from Memento Mori's favorite book of 2016, and I also saw Simon from Savage Reads really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to pick this up. It is chunky, but maybe for the summer. I also got a beautiful copy of Human Acts by Han Kang, and I'm just lost with how beautiful this cover is. I don't know if you can appreciate all the detail because I do have a lot of sunlight in here, but it's a beautiful cover, a beautiful book altogether. And Han Kang, of course, is the author of The Vegetarian, which I really loved, and this sounds even better. And the last book that I have for this is Commonwealth by Ann Patchett. I've never read Ann Patchett before, although I do own Bel Canto by her. But this one I saw Mercedes really enjoyed, and I loved the cover and the sound of it. It feels like it's going to be a very good literary fiction with a lot of focus on the characters. Question 4 is popular on Netflix, and I think I'm supposed to tell you 2 books that are very popular that I am looking forward to reading, and 2 books that are also very popular but that I have no interest in reading whatsoever. So the 2 books that I really want to read and I really can't wait to get around to reading are Shelter by Jung Yun and The Unseen World by Liz Moore, because I've heard just amazing praise for these guys. I've heard that they are very thrilling and enjoyable and entertaining. I've heard that this one is quite fast paced. But they're also very heavy on characterization. They are quite literary, so I just love the sound of that combination. And the two popular books that I have no desire of reading whatsoever, I think I'm just gonna go with anything YA, for example, I have no interest in reading anything by Sarah J. Maas, or what's her name, Bardugo, something Bardugo. I have no interest in reading Shadowhunters related stuff, paranormal. I just don't count me in for any of those. Question 5 is comedies, a funny book. And for this, I have to go with Miranda Hart's Is It Just Me, which has to be one of the funniest books I've ever read. It's incredibly insightful, and she's very honest about herself. I love how awkward she is. And also, this book is very well written. Like, it is cleverly written. You really enjoy her writing style, and you just never want to put it down. This is one of those books that when you're nearing the last pages, you don't want it to end ever. I cannot recommend this strongly enough. I love it. Question 6 is dramas. This is a character that was a total drama queen or king. I thought this question really showed the YA roots of this book tag, so I chose a YA book that I actually really like, and that is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. And Tiny Cooper is the ultimate badass drama king slash queen. I love this character. I really enjoyed this book. Question 7 is animated, a book with a cartoon on the cover. This was a thinker. I don't really know what this question refers to, so I chose these two editions in Spanish of Haruki Murakami. This one is for the novella Sleep, and this is for the short story The Secret Library. These have been very nicely put together and packaged by Libros del Zorro Rojo, and I really enjoyed these editions that have this kind of cartoonish kind of artwork. And look at the end papers. They're just beautiful. And it's very beautifully illustrated. The illustrations are maybe, they don't look very cartoonish, but I just love the feel that they have. It's very dreamlike. Question 8 is Watch It Again, a book or book series that you're looking forward to rereading. And a book series that I am actually feeling like maybe I will reread in 2017, and I cannot believe that I'm saying this, is The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien. By the way, I love my Spanish editions. They're just beautiful. I read The Lord of the Rings when I was in junior high, or the Mexican equivalent of that. I was about 13 or 14 at the moment, and I read the series, and I remember that I enjoyed it, but I was slightly disappointed by how slow-paced and descriptive and overly descriptive and boring everything was. I liked the first book okay, the second one much better, and the third one I loved. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens. I mean, what's my opinion going to be like, and how my impression on the series is going to change 10 years after having read it for the first time. I've also rewatched the movies recently, and they are just awesome. So yeah, maybe Lord of the Rings. Question 9 is documentaries. What is a non-fiction book that you would recommend? And I recommend The 50-Minute Hour by Robert Lindner. Robert Lindner was a psychoanalyst, and he fictionalized and novelized some of his cases, and he tells us all about them in here. I'm going to read you a part of the back cover in which Robert Lindner explains what the book is about. He says, I have written these tales from psychoanalysis to share with my readers some of the experiences I've had in pursuing what must surely be one of the strangest of all occupations. From a literally inexhaustible storehouse of material that increases each day, I have chosen a handful of stories that seem to me to illustrate something of the adventure of this fabulous profession, something of its romance, and much of its practical detail. The common element in all of these tales is the self of the analyst. Each story deals finally with the deployment of that self in the therapeutic enterprise, the adventures that befell it, and the effects exerted upon it by the actors and situations described. This is great. It's really interesting. It does have a lot of terminology concerning psychoanalysis, so you might find yourself at a loss in regard to some of the concepts that are used throughout this book, but I think the narrative and the actual stories in here are so amazing, and more than anything, it's just wonderful and really shocking to think that this comes from real cases. Question 10 is Action and Adventure. This is an action-packed book, and I chose The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I love this book. I love the characters. I love the settings. I love the writing style, and it is just so action-packed. I love quotes, adventures. I love this book even more than the second one, and I'm so looking forward to the third one if he ever decides to publish it. And finally, question 11 is New Releases. What's a book that just came out or will be coming out this year that you can't wait to read? A book that I cannot wait to read is George Saunders' first novel. It's called Lincoln in the Bardo. I have read his collection of short stories, 10th of December, and I absolutely adore that fucking book. I love it. I would marry that book. So I'm really looking forward to reading his novel. It's getting a lot of really good praise. So yeah, I hope it's as amazing as his short stories. That was the Netflix book tag. I thank you very much for watching. I tag absolutely anybody that wants to do it. Just do it and comment if you're going to do it so that I can go to your channel and check it out. I am Just One Reader, and I will see you next time.